The Great Hall of the Galactic Assembly was filled with representatives from 200 different species. Some had scales, some had feathers, some had no solid form at all. They had gathered here for thousands of years to maintain peace among the stars. Today, a new species was joining their ranks. Elder Vorn stood near the back of the hall, watching with his ancient eyes. He was over 800 years old, and he had seen many things. He had watched empires rise and fall. He had witnessed wars that burned entire star systems. But nothing worried him more than the arrival of the Drokai Empire. The Drokai were predators. They stood 9 feet tall with armored skin, razor-sharp claws, and teeth designed for tearing flesh. They had conquered 40 worlds through fear and violence. Their leader, Commander Rax, walked into the assembly hall like he owned it. His yellow eyes scanned the room with obvious contempt. After the formal ceremonies ended, Elder Vorn approached Commander Rax in a quiet corner of the hall. The old alien moved slowly, but his mind was still sharp. "Commander Rax," Vorn said, his voice soft and careful. "I wish to offer you some wisdom. I have watched many species rise and fall. I have studied all of them. But there is one species you must be careful with." Rax looked down at the small, wrinkled alien and laughed. "And which species should the mighty Drokai fear? The singing worms of Pelax? The floating bubbles of Yorn? Humans," Vorn said simply. Rax laughed again, louder this time. "Humans? Those soft, pink creatures with no claws? No armor? No venom? They live for barely 100 years. They are nothing." Vorn shook his head slowly. "You do not understand them. None of us did. At first. Listen to me carefully, Commander. Do not strike humans. Not their worlds. Not their ships. And never, ever harm their children. For if you do, they will hunt you. Not for a year. Not for a decade. They will hunt you forever. They do not forgive. They do not forget. They do not stop." Commander Rax pushed past the elder alien without another word. He had better things to do than listen to the ramblings of an old fool. 6 months later, Commander Rax sat in his private quarters aboard his flagship. He was bored. The Galactic Assembly had too many rules, too many restrictions. He wanted to test the strength of these so-called peaceful species. And he knew exactly where to start. The human mining colony of New Eden sat on a small moon rich with valuable minerals. It had 3,000 settlers, mostly families. They had no military ships, no heavy weapons. They were soft targets. Rax gave the order in secret: 1 warship, 1 quick raid, take the minerals, kill anyone who resisted, send a message to the galaxy about Drokai's strength. On New Eden, life was peaceful that morning. Jake Miller was finishing his breakfast with his wife Emma and their 7-year-old son Tommy. Jake was the colony's security chief, a former military man from Earth. He was calm and steady, the kind of man who never panicked. "Dad, can we go to the observation deck tonight?" Tommy asked. "I want to see the stars." Jake smiled and rubbed his son's hair. "Sure, buddy. After dinner." Emma, a geologist who studied the moon's rocks, leaned over and kissed her husband. "I have to run to the lab. See you both tonight." None of them knew that a Drokai warship had just entered the system. The attack came without warning. The sky turned red with weapons fire. Buildings exploded. People ran screaming through the streets. Jake grabbed his weapon and ran outside, shouting orders to his security team. But they were not prepared for this. No one was. The Drokai soldiers dropped from the sky like demons. They were huge and terrifying, cutting through civilians with their claws and weapons. Jake fought his way toward his home, his heart pounding with fear. When he reached his house, he found it in ruins. Part of the roof had collapsed. He dug through the rubble with his bare hands, screaming his son's name. He found Emma first. She was badly wounded, unconscious, buried under broken wood and stone. And beneath her, sheltered by her body, was Tommy. Emma had tried to protect him. She had covered him with herself when the ceiling fell, but it was not enough. Tommy was gone. His small body was still. His eyes were closed, and he looked like he was sleeping. But Jake knew the truth. He had seen death too many times not to recognize it. Jake held his son for a long time. He did not cry. He did not scream. Something inside him went quiet and cold. A fire that would never go out began to burn in his chest. The attack lasted only 30 minutes. When it was over, 847 colonists were dead. Men, women, children, families. The Drokai ship took the minerals and left without a word. Emergency ships arrived from Earth within hours. Medics rushed to help the wounded. Emma was taken to surgery, barely alive. Jake refused treatment for his own injuries. He walked through the destroyed colony like a ghost, looking at the faces of the dead. Colony Administrator David Park found Jake standing in the ruins of his home. The older man's face was gray with shock and grief. "Jake," David said softly, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about Tommy." Jake did not answer. He was holding something in his hand. A small toy spaceship, Tommy's favorite. The boy had carried it everywhere. "The Assembly will condemn this," David continued. "There will be sanctions. Diplomatic consequences. The Drokai will face justice." Jake finally looked up. His eyes were empty and cold. "Diplomatic consequences," he repeated. The words meant nothing to him. He turned and walked away, still holding the toy spaceship. In his mind, he was making a list. The ship that attacked them. The soldiers who killed his son. The commander who gave the order. He would find their names. He would find their faces. And then he would find them, every single one, no matter how long it took, no matter how far he had to go. He would never stop. He would never forgive. He would never forget. This was not about justice. This was not about revenge. This was something deeper. Something that lived in the bones of every human being. An ancient promise, written in blood and memory. "You hurt our children. Now we are coming, forever." 6 months had passed since the New Eden massacre. The Galactic Assembly had issued strong words and official condemnations. The Drokai Empire claimed the attack was unauthorized. The work of a rogue ship commander. Commander Rax was quietly promoted and given a medal for bravery in a secret ceremony. The galaxy expected humans to accept this, to move on, to behave like civilized species and let diplomatic channels handle the matter. The galaxy did not understand humans at all. On Earth, something was happening. Something that had not happened in over a century. Humans were uniting. Millions of volunteers flooded military recruitment centers. Scientists worked day and night, developing new weapons and tracking systems. Engineers designed faster ships. Intelligence officers gathered every piece of information they could find about the Drokai. The message from Earth's government was simple and clear. We are coming. A special task force was created with only one purpose. They called it the Long Memory. Its mission was to find and capture every single person responsible for the New Eden attack. Not some of them, not most of them, all of them. Jake Miller was brought to Earth to join the task force. Many argued against it. He was too personally involved. His judgment might be clouded by grief, but Admiral Kate Brooks, the head of the operation, made the final decision. "I want him," she said. "I want that look in his eyes on my team. The Drokai need to see what they created." Jake arrived at the task force headquarters on a gray morning. Emma was still recovering in a hospital. She had survived, but the doctors said she might never walk without pain again. Jake visited her every day, holding her hand, saying little. They did not need words. They both knew what had to be done. The task force headquarters was a large building filled with screens, computers, and focused people. Jake was introduced to his new team. Lisa Chen was an intelligence officer with a photographic memory. She never forgot a face, a name, or a number. Captain Ben Torres was an older man who commanded a fast attack ship. He had lost his own daughter in a previous alien conflict. He understood Jake's pain without asking. Dr. Amy Wright was a xenobiologist who studied alien psychology. She knew how the Drokai thought, what they feared, and what they valued. She would help them predict the enemy's movements. We have identified 37 Drokai officers involved in planning or executing the attack, Lisa said during their first meeting. She put images on the screen, alien faces with yellow eyes and armored skin. These are our targets. Jake studied each face carefully. He burned them into his memory. 37 names, 37 debts to be paid. Where do we start? He asked. Lisa pulled up more information. The warship that attacked New Eden was called the Crimson Fang. It was commanded by Subcommander Drell. Our sources say he is currently hiding in an asteroid belt in neutral space. He thinks he is safe there. Captain Torres leaned forward. How soon can we move? 2 days, Lisa replied. We have a ship standing by. The mission to capture Subcommander Drell was quick and surgical. Torres commanded the assault ship, while Jake led the boarding team. They disabled the Crimson Fang without destroying it. They wanted prisoners. They wanted information. Dead aliens could not give them names. Drell was a massive creature, nearly 10 feet tall. When he was dragged into the interrogation room in chains, he laughed at his human captors. His teeth were stained with old blood. He had killed many humans during the attack. He was proud of it. Little soft creatures, Drell growled. What will you do? Torture me? Kill me? The Empire will trade for my release within a week. Jake sat down across from him. He said nothing for a long moment. Just looked at the alien. With those empty, patient eyes. No one is coming for you, Jake finally said. No trade, no rescue, no escape. You are going to tell me every name of every person involved in the New Eden attack. Every officer, every soldier, every pilot. Drell laughed again. And why would I do that? Jake leaned back in his chair. Because I have time. I have patience. And I will sit here, asking the same questions, for the rest of your natural life if necessary. I do not need to hurt you. I just need to wait. Drell did not understand. Torture? He understood. Threats? He understood. But this strange, calm human, who simply sat and waited? This was something new. Days passed. Jake came to the interrogation room every morning. He asked the same questions. Drell refused to answer. Jake nodded and sat in silence for hours. Then he left. The next morning, he returned. Weeks passed. Drell barely slept. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the human sitting there. Waiting. Always waiting. The alien's nerves began to break. He screamed at Jake. He threatened him. He begged him to just end it. Jake did nothing. He just waited. On the 32nd day, Drell broke. Stop, the alien whispered. His voice was cracked and tired. I will tell you. I will tell you everything. Just make it stop. Jake pulled out a small recording device. Names, he said. Start from the beginning. Drell talked for 6 hours. He gave up 37 names. Officers who planned the attack. Soldiers who carried it out. Pilots who flew the ships. He even revealed that Commander Rax himself had secretly ordered the mission. When it was over, Jake stood up and walked to the door. He paused and looked back at the broken alien. You were right about one thing, Jake said quietly. We are soft. We have no claws. No armor. But we have something your kind will never understand. We remember. And we never stop. Back at headquarters, Jake pinned the 37 names to a board on the wall. He picked up a black marker and drew a line through Drell's name. 36 to go. Lisa stood beside him, looking at the board. Some of these officers are hidden deep in Drokai space, protected by armies. It could take years to find them all. Jake nodded slowly. Then it takes years. What if it takes decades? Jake turned to look at her. There was no anger in his eyes. No desperation. Just cold, absolute certainty. Then it takes decades. He walked away, leaving Lisa staring at the board. She had worked with many soldiers in her career. She had seen determination before. But this was different. This was something ancient, something terrifying. This was what humans became when you hurt their families. And she almost felt sorry for the Drokai. Almost. 3 years had passed since the New Eden massacre. In that time, the humans had hunted down and captured 22 of the 37 targets. The galaxy watched in growing amazement and fear. Stories spread through alien space stations and trading posts like wildfire. Traders whispered about them in bars. Diplomats discussed them in secret meetings. Everyone had heard something. They said Officer Creel had run across 6 star systems, changing his identity, his appearance, his ship. The humans followed him for 8 months without rest. They found him hiding in a cave on a frozen moon, half-starved and half-mad from fear. He had begged them to just kill him quickly. They said Lieutenant Voss had escaped to a planet with no extradition treaty. He thought he was safe because no government would allow humans to take him. The humans did not ask for permission. They simply waited outside the planet's borders, watching. When Voss finally left to visit his family on another world, they were there, waiting. Always waiting. They said Commander Brax, one of Rax's top officers, had fled to uncharted space where no maps existed. He traveled for 2 years into the unknown darkness between galaxies. When he finally stopped to rest on a nameless rock, he found a human ship already there. They had followed his engine trail across empty space for 26 months. The stories grew and changed with each telling, but the core message remained the same. Humans do not stop. Humans do not forget. Humans will find you. At a special session of the Galactic Assembly, representatives from dozens of species demanded answers. How were humans doing this? What made them so dangerous? They were physically weak compared to most species. They lived short lives. They had no special powers. Elder Vorn rose to speak. The ancient alien moved slowly to the center of the chamber, his old bones creaking. Every eye in the room turned to him. You want to understand humans, Vorn said. Then listen. I will tell you a story. The chamber fell silent. 200 years ago, on Earth, before humans reached the stars, a group of their people wronged another group. They stole land. They killed families. They thought the matter was finished. Vorn paused, letting the words sink in. The wronged ones disagreed. They walked across an entire continent to find justice. Through deserts that could kill in hours. Through mountains covered in ice. Through forests filled with predators. They walked for 3 years. 3 years. And when they finally reached their enemies, they remembered every wrong. Every name. Every face. Vorn looked around the chamber at the alien faces watching him. This is who humans are. They are persistence hunters. On their homeworld, their ancestors did not kill prey with strength or speed. They simply followed their prey. For hours. For days, until the animal collapsed from exhaustion. The prey was always faster. Always stronger. But humans just kept coming. They never stopped. The old alien's voice grew heavy. They have not changed. They have simply found new prey. The chamber was silent for a long moment. Then, a young Drokai diplomat stood up. His face tight with anger. This is fear-mongering, he said. The Drokai Empire does not fear soft-skinned primates. Report, Vorn smiled sadly. Then your empire will learn. As all must learn. There is a new saying among spacers now. Perhaps you have heard it. He looked directly at the Drokai diplomat. Cheetah Kellery. Lose your profit. Anger a Vorn. Lose your trade. Strike a human. Lose everything. On a small medical station orbiting Earth, Emma Cole was finally walking again. It had taken years of surgery and therapy, but she could move without help now. The pain was still there. It would always be there. But she had learned to live with it. She had also joined the task force. Her brilliant mind for analysis made her perfect for intelligence work. She studied Drokai patrol patterns, predicted their movements, found weaknesses in their defenses. Working gave her purpose. It gave her a reason to get up each morning. Jake visited her office one evening. He looked older than his years now. His hair was starting to turn gray at the edges. The hunt was taking its toll on him, body and soul. But his eyes were still sharp, still focused. 15 targets left, he said, sitting down across from her. Emma nodded. She had been tracking the numbers. Rax has gone into hiding, deep inside Drokai space. He has surrounded himself with an army. I know. It might take years to get to him. Jake took her hand. His grip was warm and steady. I know, he repeated. Emma looked at her husband. The man she had married had been warm and quick to laugh. That man was mostly gone now, burned away by grief and purpose. But she still loved what remained. She understood him better than anyone. I want to be there, she said quietly. Jake squeezed her hand. You will be, I promise. Far away, on Drokara Prime, Commander Rax sat alone in his heavily guarded compound. He had not left the building in months. He had not slept well in years. Every shadow made him jump. Every unexpected noise sent him reaching for his weapon. His subordinates were disappearing one by one. Some were captured. Some turned themselves in, hoping for mercy. Some simply vanished, taken in the night by human operatives who moved like ghosts. For the first time in his life, Rax felt something he did not recognize. It took him a long time to understand what it was. Fear. He was the greatest predator commander in the Drokai Empire. He had conquered worlds. He had crushed enemies without mercy. But now, he was afraid of soft, pink creatures who lived for barely a century. He thought about Elder Vorn's warning, spoken years ago in the Galactic Assembly Hall. Do not strike humans. They will hunt you forever. He had laughed at those words. He was not laughing anymore. Outside his window, the stars shone cold and distant. Somewhere out there, humans were watching, planning, waiting, coming for him, always coming, and they would never, ever stop. 7 years had passed since the New Eden massacre. Jake Miller stood in the command center of the human flagship, staring at a holographic map of Drokai space. Only 3 names remained on his list: Lieutenant Gore, Captain Mox, and Commander Rax. The first 2 were still hiding somewhere in Drokai territory, but everyone knew they were just followers. The real target, the one who had ordered the attack on New Eden, was Rax. And Rax was hiding on Drokara Prime, the heavily fortified homeworld of the Drokai Empire. Admiral Kate Brooks stood beside Jake, studying the same map. She was older now, her hair completely white, but her mind was still sharp as a blade. Direct assault is impossible, she said. Drokara Prime has orbital defense platforms, 3 battle fleets, and ground forces numbering in the millions. We would lose half our fleet just getting through the outer defenses. Jake nodded slowly. He had known this for years. Then, we do not assault. What do you suggest? Jake turned to face her. We wait. The human strategy was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. They did not attack. They did not threaten. They did not negotiate. They simply positioned observers at every jump point, every trade route, and every space station within 10 light-years of Drokai space. Hundreds of small ships with advanced sensors, watching everything, recording everything. The message was clear without saying a word. We know you are in there. We are watching. We have time. Every month, Jake Miller recorded a message that was broadcast on frequencies that could reach Drokara Prime. He sat in a plain room with a gray wall behind him. He spoke calmly, without anger or emotion. Commander Rax, 7 years ago, you ordered an attack on New Eden Colony. Your soldiers killed 847 innocent people. Among them was my son, Tommy. He was 7 years old. He liked to look at the stars. Jake paused, letting the words hang in the air. I want you to know that I am still here. I am still waiting. I will wait another 7 years if necessary. Another 70 years. Another 700. However long it takes. You will not escape. You will not be forgotten. Sincerely, Jake Miller. These messages played on screens across Drokara Prime. The Drokai government tried to block them, but humans had become very good at breaking through communication barriers. Every month, like clockwork, Rax's face appeared on screens all over the planet, followed by Jake Miller's calm, patient words. Inside his compound, Rax was falling apart. He had not stepped outside in over 2 years. He had hired hundreds of guards, installed the most advanced security systems available, and surrounded himself with weapons. But none of it helped him sleep at night. He saw human assassins in every shadow. He tasted poison in every meal. He heard footsteps outside his door at all hours. His own officers began to whisper that he was going mad. Perhaps they were right. The human blockade was strangling the Drokai economy. Trade ships could not move without being watched. Other species refused to do business with the Drokai, fearing human attention. Factories closed, markets collapsed, unemployment spread like a disease. The Drokai High Council met in secret to discuss their options. They were angry, but they were also afraid. The humans had proven what they were capable of. 34 of the 37 New Eden attackers had been captured or killed. Only 3 remained, and the humans were still out there, still watching, still waiting. "We must end this," said Council Leader Varn, an elderly Drokai with scars covering half his face. "The humans have made their point. Our economy cannot survive another year of this pressure." "What do you suggest?" asked another council member. "We cannot defeat them in battle. Our fleet is strong, but theirs has grown stronger. And even if we won a battle, they would simply rebuild and return. That is what they do." The council fell silent. Everyone knew the truth. There was only one way to end this. "We surrender, Rax," Council Leader Varn said finally. The words hung in the air like smoke. "We hand him over to the humans. We end this nightmare." Some council members protested. Rax was a hero, a conqueror. Surrendering him would be a sign of weakness. But Varn silenced them with a raised hand. "Rax is not a hero. He is a fool who ignored ancient wisdom and brought human wrath upon our entire empire. He is not worth the destruction of our civilization." The vote was close, but the decision was made. Commander Rax would be surrendered to humanity. Rax did not go quietly. When the guards came for him, he fought like a cornered animal. He killed 3 of his own soldiers before they finally brought him down with stun weapons. He was dragged from his compound in chains, screaming curses and threats. The handover took place at a neutral space station. Jake Miller stood waiting as the Drokai shuttle arrived. Beside him were Emma, Admiral Brooks, and a small team of soldiers. Behind them, a prison transport ship was ready to take Rax back to human space. The shuttle doors opened. Drokai guards led Rax down the ramp in heavy chains. The once proud commander looked like a broken creature. His eyes were wild and sunken. His armor was dull and scratched. He had not slept properly in years. As he walked past Jake Miller, Rax stopped. The 2 enemies stared at each other for a long moment. "Your kind is weak," Rax growled. "You needed 7 years to catch me." Jake looked at him without emotion. His voice was calm and steady. "We would have taken 70. We would have taken 700. You still do not understand us at all." Rax opened his mouth to respond, but the guards pushed him forward. He was led onto the prison transport without another word. Emma stepped up beside her husband. She watched the transport doors close, sealing Rax inside. "Is it over?" she asked quietly. Jake shook his head slowly. "Not yet. Gore and Mox are still out there." Emma nodded. She had known the answer before she asked. "How long?" Jake looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, 2 more targets were hiding, thinking they might escape, however long it takes. He turned and walked toward their ship. There was still work to do. 10 years had passed since the New Eden massacre. Lieutenant Gore and Captain Mox had been captured within months of Rax's surrender. The list was complete. All 37 names had been crossed off. Now, at last, it was time for justice. The trial of Commander Rax was held not in a human court, but before a joint tribunal of the Galactic Assembly. 200 species would witness the judgment. The evidence was overwhelming. Testimonies from survivors, recordings of Rax's secret orders, confessions from his own officers. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Jake Miller sat in the gallery every single day. Emma sat beside him, her hand in his. They did not speak much. They did not need to. They had waited 10 years for this moment. They could wait a little longer. When the verdict came, it was unanimous. Guilty on all counts. Guilty of ordering the attack on a civilian colony. Guilty of the murder of 847 innocent people. Guilty of crimes against sentient life. The assembly chamber fell silent as the tribunal prepared to announce the sentence. Many expected death. The Drokai certainly expected it. Death was how they handled their criminals. Quick, clean, final. But humanity requested something different. Commander Rax will spend the rest of his natural life in a human prison facility, the tribunal leader announced. Given Drokai biology, this will be approximately 200 standard years. Rax's eyes widened. 200 years. Not a quick death, but centuries of captivity, the tribunal leader continued. During his imprisonment, Commander Rax will be required to watch recorded testimonials from the families of every victim. Every day. Every year. For the rest of his life, he will know their names. He will know their stories. He will see their faces. He will never be allowed to forget what he did. Rax screamed in rage. He fought against his chains. Guards dragged him from the chamber as he cursed and threatened. But his words meant nothing now. His power meant nothing. He was just a prisoner who would spend the next 2 centuries living with the memories of his crimes. Jake watched him go. He felt no satisfaction. No joy. Just a quiet emptiness. Tommy was still gone. 846 others were still gone. Nothing could bring them back. But justice had been done. The promise had been kept. 1 year later, on the anniversary of the massacre, a memorial was unveiled on New Eden. The colony had been rebuilt, larger and stronger than before. Families had returned. Children played in the streets again. Life had continued, as it always did. The memorial stood in the center of the colony. It was a simple wall of black stone, polished smooth as glass. Carved into the stone were 847 names, every person who had died that day, every life that had been lost. Tommy Miller's name was near the bottom, beside 846 others. Just a name among many. But to Jake and Emma, it was the center of the universe. The dedication ceremony drew visitors from across human space and beyond. Representatives from dozens of alien species attended, standing quietly in the crowd. Elder Vorn was there, his ancient body supported by a walking frame. He had lived long enough to see this moment. He would not live much longer. Emma was asked to give the final speech. She stood before the memorial, looking out at the crowd. Her hair was gray now. Lines marked her face. But her voice was strong and clear. "They thought we would forget," she said. "They thought time would dull our grief. They believed we would grow tired, give up, and move on. They did not understand us." She paused, letting the silence stretch. "We are human. We carved our history into stone before we had writing. We carried grudges across oceans. We remembered wrongs for generations. We built monuments to our dead that have stood for thousands of years." She turned to look at the memorial wall, at the names carved in stone. "We are not the strongest species in this galaxy. We are not the fastest. We are not the most advanced. But we are the ones who remember. We are the ones who never stop. And now the galaxy knows it." The Galactic Assembly officially adopted what became known as the Human Doctrine. It was a formal warning, translated into every known language and broadcast to every corner of civilized space. The message was simple. Unprovoked attacks on human civilians would be met with absolute, unending pursuit. Not for a year, not for a decade, forever. Elder Vorn made sure the warning was included in every diplomatic handbook, every first contact guide, every training manual for young species joining the galactic community. Never again would anyone claim ignorance. Decades passed. Jake Miller died peacefully at 91 years old, Emma holding his hand until the end. They were buried side by side on New Eden, near the memorial wall. Their graves were simple, but thousands of people attended the funeral. They had become legends, symbols of human determination and love. Their story was taught in schools across human space and beyond. It was not told as a tale of revenge, but as a promise. We will always come for our people. We will always remember. Always. 200 years later, in a distant corner of the galaxy, a young alien commander named Torek sat in his warship. He was ambitious and hungry for glory. His species had recently discovered space travel. They were eager to prove themselves. Torek studied a map of nearby systems. One system contained a small human outpost, only a few hundred settlers. Weak defenses, easy pickings. We could raid them, Torek said to his crew. Take their resources, show the galaxy our strength. His first officer, an older alien named Sorel, placed a hand on his shoulder. Sorel had traveled widely before joining the military. He had heard stories. Have you ever heard of New Eden? Sorel asked quietly. Torek shook his head. No. What is that? Sorel sat down beside the young commander. His voice was heavy with warning. Then sit. Listen. And never forget what I am about to tell you. Outside the ship, the stars shone cold and distant. On a small blue world orbiting a yellow sun, humans went about their lives, building, creating, remembering. They did not know that somewhere in the darkness, an old story was being told again. A warning passed from generation to generation. A promise, written in blood and memory. Do not strike humans. They will hunt you forever, and forever is a very long time.